If a palletizing routine has been selected to be executed from within the quick new interview for execution in a quick edit program, if this is selected as yes, then there are several parameters you must be aware of in the quick edit. The parameters to be aware of are the position over placing and the parts placing program. The position over placing is the location the robot will go to prior to executing the placing program. It's where the placing program will begin from, moving to the place location. The auxiliary A, B, or C axes must be preset to the position it needs to be in during the execution of the placing program. The Z and the X axes are the position that the lineal axes will move from to execute the palletizing program. The placing program itself, or the palletizing program, select the parameter, select part placing program 1, and here you can define the placing positions. Select up to 3 axes. Only the 3 main axes can be used currently in this, and that's why the over position parameter settings for the auxiliary axes is very important. The placing order is the order that you want the lineal direction to take place in. ZXY means that parts will be placed in the Z position, then the X position, then the Y position during the execution of the palletizing. To change this, select the drop-down and select it to the axis order required. Once this is set, select Next. And here you're teaching the position where the first part in the palletizing routine for the X, Y, and Z axes shall be placed. The position you can set by moving the robot with the sliders, or if you know the numerical position, you can numerically input it into the program. Once it's inputted, you can drive the robot to that position with the go-to slider. The number of parts is the number of parts in a line in that axis in the palletizing program. In our example, we're only going to place parts in the X and Y directions. So the Z position will be retained as 300 at all times in the palletizing program, and the number of parts in the Z will be 1. The X position, if you know it numerically, can be set numerically and then driven to with the go-to slider. If you are not sure of the position, set the parts by selecting Set, drive the axes to a position, and then input that position. If you know it numerically, you can input it and then drive the robot to that position. The number of parts in the X direction, if we wanted 2 stacks of parts on the conveyor in a linear direction in the X, we will say there will be 2 in the X. The Y-axis, again, can be driven to the position by driving the axes to the location required, or if you know the position, you can numerically input it and then drive directly to that position. The number of parts in the Y direction will be 3. So we want 2 stacks of 3 for a total of 6 parts. Once this has been completed, select Next. And here it's asking the relative distance from either the second position or the end position in that axis line. The second position is the relative distance between the first part placed in the palletizing program and the second in that axis. In the Z-axis, There is no relative distance. We are not moving the axes in the z direction. So we're going to leave that at 0. The x-axis, we are going to say is a negative 200. And you'll see the robot moves in the negative direction from the position it was at. The y-axis also is going to be moving in a negative direction, moving up from the first part that it placed. Select Next, and if a displacement is required, you can set, and a displacement is as if you were stacking chairs, that each time the part is placed on top of the previous part, it moves over left or right in one direction or other. In this case, there's no displacement required, so we leave it as 0. A 3D motion from the overplaced position to the placing location could be utilized if you select. If a straight linear requirement is required, uncheck the 3D motion. The axis order is the order that the robot will drive to the place location from. This is very important to be aware of. If you were starting, let's say, from a gate clear position each time, where the robot would exit the mold, move to a gate clear position, and from that point execute the placing program, you would want to make sure that your axis moves in a safe order. Z would move first, then X will come out, and Y will go down. If you were to select YXZ, Y would go down first, X would move out, and then Z would move over. So always make sure you're aware of the axis order. Select Next. A box height can be determined if you're placing parts to pack out a carton or some type of tote. Select the box height and input the height of the box that the robot would have to clear before executing the palletizing program within the box. If placing onto a conveyor or a fixture, no box is required, uncheck the box height. Select Next, and the summary will show you the axes used, the axes order, and if it was set correctly, the total part should equal what you assume it to be. We're placing one part in the Z direction, 2 parts in the X, and 3 in the Y. 2 times 3 is a total of 6, so the placing program was created correctly. Select OK, and your placing program is ready to utilize.